GoldenEye sure is one tough act to follow. Bloodstone 007, released the same day as the long-awaited and well-received N64 remake, seems poised to die in obscurity. If it indeed does, it certainly has more to blame than the circumstances of its release date. Aping games like Splinter Cell Conviction and Batman Arkham Asylum, Bloodstone fails to go the extra mile and provides a decidedly middle-of-the-road experience. Is the Bond license enough to salvage it?
We're investigating anthrax and smallpox to come up with antidotes that could be used in the field in the case of a biological attack.
Bloodstone certainly looks the part of a AAA production, with top-notch talent like Daniel Craig, Judi Dench, and Joss Stone lending the game their voices and likenesses. The story involves the tracking down of the source of some biological weapons. As it unfurls, Bond will travel to all manner of exotic spots on the globe, including Monaco, Istanbul, and Burma, liaising with questionable individuals never too far from the lap of luxury. In all, the story is well acted. The big-name actors in the cast get the most of the screen time. As you near the endgame, however, you get the sneaking suspicion that the story isn't going to see any resolution. When the credits start to roll abruptly after a particularly dramatic scene, your hunch is confirmed.
James, what are you doing? You're heading for the river.
Hold on!
Bloodstone is an unusually short game, but the fact that it ends with its story half told is especially disappointing.
That's it, Nicole. Good. Now hold her steady.
Bloodstone's brief, straightforward single-player game is bereft of any real ambition. Few surprises await you in its picturesque environments. If you were to strip Splinter Cell Conviction or Arkham Asylum of their variety and variability, and just keep the takedowns and room clearing, then you'd be disappointingly close to Bloodstone. Without any interesting gadgets to let you play around with your approach to infiltration and assault, or enemies with behaviors more complex than patrol, stop, engage, it's apparent that a game like this is actually pretty boring. The game is salvaged somewhat by competent pacing, but just barely. It carries on with its story in ways that often help you swallow the bitter pill of monotony.
It's a dead end.
Not necessarily.
Most of the game involves skulking through cover-laden environments and dispatching multitudes of unusually oblivious enemies, though frequently things will degenerate into firefights. Even in these, it's often way too easy to just run straight up to an enemy that's shooting you in the face for a brutal takedown. The game's set-piece scenarios are easily its best moments, but they aren't nearly as frequent as they should be. Alas, you'll often feel as if Bond's most memorable exploits in Bloodstone occur during the cutscenes, which is a real shame. This being a Bizarre Creations production, there are a few car chases peppering the experience, usually serving to cap off portions of the game. Much like Bloodstone as a whole, they're certainly spiffy looking, with their best moments characterized by snappy scripting that successfully misdirects your attention away from their unwavering, arbitrary linearity. Ultimately, the car chases boil down to memorizing the right turns, which is reinforced by repeat failures. You'll be glad for the frequent checkpoints. Bloodstone's multiplayer package covers the basics, their team deathmatch and last man standing modes, along with a riff on capture points called Objective. While the game's mechanics are adequate enough to sustain competitive play, there's really nothing here beyond bland framework. Bloodstone makes no compelling argument for you to choose its multiplayer over the countless superior alternatives. Bloodstone plays exactly like you'd expect it to. Its defining feature is the focus aim system. You might recognize it from Splinter Cell Conviction, where it was called the Mark and Execute system. It works the same. If you perform a takedown, you get a focus point that lets you insta-kill an enemy with your weapon. You can bank up to 3 focus points, which allows you to string together the kills. Unlike in Conviction, you can't actually mark the targets you want to take out. The game chooses them for you. Bloodstone scenarios are simple enough so that this is usually fine. The focus aim system, ironically, encourages a very direct approach to confrontation. When going through a scenario, you end up feeling downright naked if your focus meter isn't completely full. As a result, you'll frequently find yourself going for the takedowns in spite of your better judgment. Soon enough, you'll realize just how easy it is to run up to a heavily armed enemy and perform a takedown. The only times you can't are when your target is wielding a shotgun, or when you're in the midst of one of the set-piece firefights. We understand that Daniel Craig's Bond is a tough dude, but in Bloodstone, he's approaching superhero status. As we said earlier, Bloodstone certainly looks the part. The characters whose likenesses are based on real actors look and move in convincing ways. The rank-and-file secondary players, considerably less so. Similarly, the voice work provided by Daniels, Dench, and Stone is uniformly great, though the bit parts are spotty and downright comical in parts.
There's an Englishman on his way to see Rack. My money says he won't make it. And you know how much I hate to lose my money.
Overall, the game paints a polished, convincing picture. You'll just wish there was more substance there to back it up. With a story that feels half-told and an execution that's bare bones in every way that matters, it's difficult to recommend Bloodstone. Given how abruptly it ends, there's another one coming without a doubt. It's got its work cut out for it, though, as far as convincing you to remain interested. At about 5 or 6 hours to play through, you could easily see all that Bloodstone has to offer within the span of a rental. There's really nothing beyond this to hold your attention.